World poverty is a tragedy that prevents people from experiencing life as God intended for it to be experienced because people are neglecting compassion, which is something that God values. God clearly intended his people to be the ones to feed the orphans, the widows, and the foreigners. This is seen in Deuteronomy chapter 1, where God tells his people, when you're going through your fields and cleaning off the grapes, don't go back a second time and make sure that you got all the grapes. Leave them there so that the foreigners can come and get them. He also says in chapter 26 that the third year of the tithe, give all of it to the foreigners. The Bible instructs us a total of 2,000 times to help orphans and widows. James chapter 1 verse 27 says, pure and faultless religion inside of God is this, to help orphans and widows in their distress. So clearly the Lord has intended for his people to be the ones to take care of the poor. However, we are failing at this, being that 45% of the world's children are living in poverty. My suggestion is that this Christmas we give gifts through World Vision's gift catalog to the poor to help save lives and spread the gospel throughout the world. And this is redemptive because it opens channels through which we can connect with others in ways that can draw them closer to him and promote something he cares about, which is compassion. Little Olivia is one of 7 kids living in rural Guatemala, and she is starving to death. Her cry is weak and hollow, and her eyes are pleading unspoken words that can only be expressed through barely audible whimpers. Unfortunately, she is one of the many in rural Guatemala suffering from starvation. And even more unfortunately is that this problem does not stay in Guatemala, but it goes throughout the world. An example of this is in the South Sudan, where Asia and Rabak, lifeless and starved bodies are so small that they can barely be visible beneath a sheet. This topic is important to me because I have an overwhelming passion for it. Ever since I gave my life completely to Christ, God has infused my whole being with a passion for it that just bubbles out of me. But clearly, as a college student who was born and raised in a first world country, I'm not an expert on the matter. So to ensure the credibility of my speech, I have consulted expert sources such as worldvision.org, compassioninternational.org, samaritanspurse.org, which are all humanitarian organizations that have been working for years with the poor to provide aid and spread the gospel. I've also consulted world poverty statistics. World poverty is a tragedy that prevents people from experiencing life as God means it to be experienced. But by putting others first this Christmas, by giving gifts to World Vision's gift catalog, we can work to alleviate some of this unnecessary suffering. So, world poverty is a major problem, being that nearly half of the world's people are living in it. Compassionate International's website says that 1.6 billion people have no modern forms of energy. 6 million children under the age of 5 die from preventable causes, and 63% of the world's people live below the poverty line, which is equivalent to $1.25 U.S. money. World poverty statistics also says that 22,000 people per day die due to poverty. 1.1 billion have inadequate access to clean water, and 45% of children are living in poverty. 1 in 3 are without adequate shelter. 1 in 5 have no access to clean water. 1 in 7 have no access to health care. And 1.4 million people die a year due to a lack of clean water. World Vision's gift catalog is a way that satisfies the 2,000 times in the Bible when we are instructed to help the orphans and the widows. It is truly in the spirit of Christmas, being that Jesus was a gift given to us out of compassion that saved our lives. It has many different options to help the poor, such as animals, clean water, warm clothing, shelter, help for those with HIV and AIDS, medicine, and the list goes on and on. The way it works is, let's say you spend $12 to buy someone a chicken. That chicken can have eggs, which the family can eat and trade for other necessities to save that family's life. Or let's say you want to donate $50 to Save Water Innovations. It buys tablets that transform water that was deadly and transmitted typhoid and other deadly diseases to water that is now 99.99% clean and safe to drink. Some gifts multiply up to 12% to donate even more goods to the poor. For example, the clothing fund, generous sponsors have already donated lots of clothing, so your gift just goes to ship the clothing. For example, you could donate $100 to the fund, and $1,200 worth of clothes is brought to families in need. Not only do these gifts save lives, but they are of eternal significance, because they preach the gospel throughout the world. Not only to the poor in open countries, but to the poor in closed countries as well, where people in Afghanistan can obviously not preach the gospel openly, but their acts of love show Christ to the people. It's so important to preach the gospel throughout the world because the Bible instructs us so many times to do so. An example is in Matthew 29:19, where it says, "Go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit." And in Mark 16, chapter 16, verse 15, where it says, "Go into all creation and preach the gospel to all creation." Not only is this a testimony to the poor, it's a testimony to your friends and family. Because when they ask you, "Hey, what did you get people for Christmas?" you can tell them about your gift or world vision. And they'll wonder why you had love and compassion for people you don't even know. And the Bible tells us that you will know his followers by their love for one another. World poverty is a problem that affects many of the world's people. And we can work to alleviate this through donating gifts through World Vision's gift catalog. So I plead you, on behalf of people who cannot speak for themselves, to reinvent your idea of Christmas gifts. To not see them anymore as a way to get those cute boots or that jewelry that you wanted, or to give to those who can give back to you, but rather as a way to save lives and spread the gospel. I would like to close with some words from Jesus found in Matthew 25, verse 40. Jesus says, "I tell you the truth, whatever you did unto the least of these, you did unto me." Thank you.